There we go. All right. Let me say about you guys are doing awesome. Like I'm loving this. I'm having so much fun like going through the group and giving everybody their points and seeing what everybody's got as far as workouts, meals, all that stuff. It's been super fun. So you guys are killing it and that's been awesome. Super pumped to see all of that. So to start, I lined out a couple goals that I was hopeful that you would all achieve within this 21-day process. Just to review those real quick, having some increased motivation, energy, mental clarity, get you moving again, learn how to meal prep, hopefully get you feeling a little bit better in your clothes, get fitting better in your clothes. And I believe that covers it. I wanted to keep it short to like a couple few. So is anybody, how are y'all feeling this week so far with maybe just better, I mean, it's only been 3 days, I know, but like better meal choices, maybe just being more intentional with prepping meals. You guys want to put in the chat if you're noticing any benefits right away or any changes?
I feel like it was hard to get started as far as like the workout. And I feel like every time I start something new, like 30 things in life, like hit me like a train. So it was kind of catching up, but like the eating healthier, like, cause I knew I was going to be taking pictures and showing it to people, was like, well, I have to do it right. Like there's no cheating. So I like the accountability with that. And so I've noticed that I do notice around bedtime, I'm like, man, I'm hungry, but that's also just because I'm used to snacking anytime I want to. So I think it's doing well.
Okay, awesome. We can work on that. If you got some cravings, I'll help you round that out a little bit. Make sure you're eating enough because that could just be a lack of protein or lack of overall calories if you're feeling hungry at the end of the night. Okay. So we can work on that. But that's cool. The accountability aspect is pretty big.
Yeah, it helps.
Help you stick to it. Awesome. Cool. Love to hear that. Anyone else feeling or noticing anything different? I think Olivia said not yet. Let me see if anybody else typed anything. Accountability. Caitlin's in here getting ready for work. All right, cool. Awesome. Anyone notice any difference with like mental clarity, like maybe your moods or your mental health is a little, or not necessarily maybe mental health, but just like feeling sharper? Yay, nay? Maybe not. That's all right. We'll get there. It's only 3 days in. I was just curious if anybody was noticing any difference. I know we're like on day 3, literally, but that's okay. Just something to keep in mind. I think hopefully at least the motivation is there for everybody. It seems to be with everybody posting, having fun in the group. So, all right. So basically what I'm going to do is I gave you guys a meal prep guide and a fast food guide. And I want to dig those out and dig a little bit deeper into those and cover some things that aren't necessarily in the guide also. So the main preface with the meal prep guide obviously is having your whole foods. So a good way to look at that when you're going to the grocery store is shopping the interior perimeter of the grocery store. Because if you think about it, that's where all of your meat, your produce, your dairy, your cheese, your eggs, all of that's going to be on the interior perimeter of the grocery store. The only outlier of that is the bakery, which God forbid the bakery has to be there because we have to walk by it, right? So you have all that on the interior perimeter of the store. That's a great place to start. When you get into the aisles, I mean, obviously there's some good things within the aisles that are packaged that you can get. Ideally, you want to stick to the 3 main categories, like your protein, your starches, or your vegetables. So that would be like your boxed rice and pasta, or like canned vegetables, frozen vegetables. The frozen aisles got some great resources in there too. But the main thing that I wanted to get across is reading labels tonight, because that can be a big thing as far as like we look at the nutrition facts, and those are good to look at, yes, but a lot of things hide within your ingredient lists that are on the back of the packages. I'm trying to keep up with the chat here real quick. Okay. So I have a couple examples here of what I just grabbed from my pantry, and ironically enough, I learned something as I was trying to give you all examples. So one of my favorite snacks is just applesauce, which an FTO used to make fun of me and call this baby food, but hey, it's fine, I'll take it. But anyways, I like this applesauce just because it's quick and easy. You can freeze it and throw it in your lunchbox and it'll thaw all throughout shift. But this is from Costco. If you look on the back of it, the ingredients just say organic apples and I can't even say it, acid, some sort of acid to maintain the color. But ideally what you're seeing on the back of that is that there's only 2 ingredients. So when you're looking at packaged foods in the aisles, you kind of want to keep it under like 5 to 10 ingredients at most. Another good example is I've got 2 different kinds of packaged tuna. Usually the way I pick this is whichever one's cheaper. But I realized, so the one that's unflavored is just tuna water and sea salt and black pepper. And then you have like some of those things just to like keep for the shelf life of it. But that's a lot better on the back than if you go to the flavored one, which is the Thai chili, which we get a couple different ones. But this has the sugar in it. So you can look on the back and see if there's added sugar. The way these are organized is the most, how do I word this? The ingredient that is there is the most of within the package is going to be first. And then it goes from most to least within the way it's listed. So sugar here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th on the list. So it's not like solely sugar. But this gives you an idea that you can look on the back and see how many added sugars are in there. So this has 4 grams of added sugar in it. So again, not terrible. It's just something to keep in mind of trying to keep away the amount of processed foods that you're eating and how much added sugar might be in there. Another thing to look for is like your oils, like your seed oils, like sunflower oil, canola oil, things like that. They're not necessarily bad by themselves, but just to keep in mind of how much of those you're eating. If everything you're buying has that seed oil in it, then it might be a good time to try to make some better choices to get rid of having that in everything you're eating. So those were the main things I wanted to dig into there. My last example would be, we have some Nutri-Grain bars. My husband loves these things. I don't necessarily eat them unless I need to. But the ingredient label on the back of this thing is like the entire package. So that lets you know it's probably a little bit more processed. There is some added sugar, all sorts of stuff in here. But it's one of those things, it just helps you to be informed. It doesn't mean anything's necessarily good or bad. It just helps you to make better choices. So that helps dig into that a little bit. And just to kind of hit the main bullet points on this, since you guys can read it on your own, I don't want to read point for point here. But the main idea is prioritizing your protein. You want to try to find good sources of protein: chicken, fish, pork, beef, turkey. And you want to make sure that's your main portion on your plate. And I know some of you are asking about portion sizes, which I want to get into a little bit more next week. But the main guidance I have with the portion sizes are, with the protein being about the size of a fist or a size of a deck of cards, that's roughly about 4 ounces. So that should be your minimum serving. You can probably go a little bit more than that if you want. I think on average, I usually try to do about 5 ounces of protein per meal, but that's just because I weigh about 150, 160 pounds. So you have that. And the way I like to think about meal prep to keep it simple is I like to divide it into 3 categories, kind of like I mentioned it before. So you have your protein as your category 1. So say you make some crock pot chicken or some beef or whatever you want to cook up for the week. Next would be your veggies. You can do frozen, fresh, or canned. Those are really just out of simplicity's sake, whatever you want to have. Obviously, it takes more time in prep if you want to cut fresh and dice and bake those, and they don't last as long. Or you can go with the frozen veggies or the canned veggies, where those you just throw them in the microwave and they're ready to go. One's not necessarily better than the other. I say if you can make it more simple, make it more simple as far as our time and meal prep and all of those good things. Why not have it grab and go if it's going to be about the same? And then the third one is your starchy carbs. So usually rice, potatoes, pasta are the main 3 there. So you can, those just take time to boil, or you grab like an Uncle Ben's ready rice type thing. So you have your protein cooking, you have your rice or pasta cooking, and then you have your veggies. So that way you can grab from each of those 3 things, mix and match within your meal throughout the week. And then maybe you throw a sauce on top of it, like a teriyaki or maybe like a sugar-free barbecue sauce. Primal Kitchen is a good brand of those. G. Hughes does a lot of great sauces that are low sugar or sugar-free. That way you can add some flavor and some taste to your meals. You're not stuck eating bland like chicken, rice, and vegetables, things like that. So I go into that a little bit in there with some different examples, like a burrito bowl, an Asian bowl, or the biggest hack that I can give you are like the Bird's Eye steamable veggies. If you have some protein cooked, you literally grab your protein, grab your veggies, throw it in your lunchbox, and you have a meal. The ones I really like of those are the zucchini noodles, which taste just like regular pasta. They come in marinara, cheddar, or Alfredo, and they're really good with pretty much anything: chicken, turkey, beef, whatever you want to throw with them. Super fast. I actually just ate that for lunch today because I didn't want to cook up a whole new meal. So how's everybody doing so far? Any questions? Anything that comes to mind? Anything that you guys have any specific questions on? Jenny's asking, as a diabetic, how do I need to balance my carbs and sugars? As a diabetic, the main thing for you is going to be choosing whole foods as much as possible and nothing that's like super processed. So for you, really, that's like whole wheat, rice and pasta. It's going to be like sweet potatoes, maybe some beans, things like that, because that's going to help manage your sugars to keep them steady throughout the day instead of having that spike and crash. And then you're worried about managing your sugars.
Also, my mom is diabetic type 2, and she balances her blood sugar by eating more protein. So of course we're trying to eat more protein, but try to eat the same amount of protein as your carbs.
Yeah, protein is going to be the best regulator for sugar, for hunger, for satiety, things like that. That's why you want to make sure you at least get that 4-ounce serving or fist size per serving in each meal. And probably for most of us, adding in some protein snacks as well. They're going to be helpful there too. So any other questions so far before I keep going? All right. Breakfast is one of those odd ones where people tend to have a little like more of a struggle trying to figure out what to get in there. So that's why I like to throw in some options. The main thing with breakfast is getting in 30 to 40 grams of protein, because that's what's going to help keep your energy levels steady throughout the morning. It's going to keep you from having that spike and that crash where you're reaching for something at 10 a.m. or part of the way through the shift, whatever the way you look at it. So when I say breakfast too, I should say I'm talking about your first meal of the day, depending on when you wake up. So it just depends on what shift you are or how you're working. But getting in that 30 to 40 grams of protein is going to be your biggest help. It'll get you started off ahead of the game with your protein for the day, so you're not behind trying to catch up. And it's going to help you make better choices throughout the day too, versus if you grab like a coffee and a muffin, that's obviously going to burn up pretty quick and you're going to be hungry again within a couple of hours. So some good examples of that, like oatmeal with some protein powder, or like the Kodiak Cakes brand makes a great protein oatmeal that I eat pretty regularly. You can do a Greek yogurt parfait if you don't want to cook anything, throw some granola and fruit with it. Some of you, I think it was Mary maybe, posted the protein shake in the group today. That was a great idea. There's all sorts of different coffee protein shakes you can do with coffee and protein powder, or if you want to do like a full-on smoothie, protein powder with fruits, veggies, maybe throw some yogurt and milk in there. You can load that up with protein pretty easily that way too. Jenny says, I'm not a huge fan of oats. Would grits and eggs be a good choice? Yeah, grits are corn, so it's just corn based, but that's going to be a carbohydrate for you. So I would say that would be fine. Grits and eggs. Try to throw in some fruits and veggies with breakfast. I know it's a little bit harder, but maybe the fruit's a little bit easier. Grab some strawberries or pineapple. Just whatever's in season is good to throw in there. And then I give the example of that easy training plate, which I made a post about in the group as well, which is what I refer to as the balanced training plate, or the balanced plate, sorry, where you have that quarter plate of protein, you have about a quarter plate of starchy carbs, you have about half a plate of veggies. This is like the most foundational tool that I can teach you guys as far as like long-term health and fitness. At the end of the day, even if you're not like logging your food or specifically knowing about where you need to be with calories and protein, if you can stick to this guide for 3 meals per day and then add in snacks on top of that, that's going to help you to feel your best, to look your best, to make sure you're fueling your body for work, your energy demands, all of those things. So everything goes back to that balanced plate for 3 meals a day. And then you have some extra resources in there with your protein sources, and if you're looking for specifics with carbs or fat, that breaks it down in there too. So that's it for the meal prep guide. Does anyone else have any other questions there? Protein ice cream. Yeah, that's good too. That'd be good for like a dessert or something at the end of the night. With the fast food. And I just threw this in here because I think it's a good resource for everybody, just because we always end up eating out on shift at some time or another because we don't always have food, or we're running call to call. I mean, there's all sorts of different variables there. The biggest thing with fast food that I can help with would be to plan ahead. If you have the chance to look up the restaurant or fast food place to get an idea of like the calories or the protein you're looking at eating, that's a great tool to use to make better food choices. Because if you're more informed, you can make the better food choice. Because as we all know, some things look super deceiving on the menu versus what you're actually getting. If you have MyFitnessPal has a lot of those pre-populated in there. So that's a great resource too. If you want to throw that up and search what you're looking for in there, you can get an idea by using MyFitnessPal. But just be mindful. The main thing is prioritizing your protein. Make sure whatever meal you chose has a good source of protein in it. That's going to be like that 4 to 5 ounces of protein you're typically looking for. It's tough to do that if you're getting like a sandwich or a wrap or something like that, unless maybe you hit Subway. But some of those tend to be a little bit light with your protein, a little bit heavier on the carbs. If you're off duty, just a side note to maybe limit your alcohol. I mean, have an idea in mind of how many drinks you want to have. That way it gives you a goal to stay under. You can still enjoy a couple drinks, but being mindful with that, not going overboard. Along with that, if you're making drinks at home, it's good to use the liquor with like a 0-calorie mixer, because that will keep the drink itself more potent, but it'll keep the extra calories and sugar down, which will actually help with limiting the hangover too. What is your suggestion, Kristen? Sorry.
It's okay. I do track my meals on my Macros Plus, the app, just like MyFitnessPal and whatnot. But I have a preset meal. It says pre-planned, and I put everything that I could possibly want to eat, like the Greek yogurt and the protein bar and the protein shake and everything in there. And I fit it into one meal so I can see what I could have for today. So I'll eat and put it in there, and I can already see the options that will help me meet the rest of my goals. Say I had a huge big fat burger that had a whole bunch of protein, but it also had a lot of fat. Well, I can see that I have my sunflower seeds in there, or my pistachios, or my walnuts, and I know that I can't eat those today because they're filled with a lot of fat, so I just remove those. But I see all the other options I have left available to me, so I'm not going in the pantry and like, oh, what can I eat? I already have it pre-planned, and I can choose from that list of what's left to meet my goals.
Yeah, that's a good thought. I mean, that's a good reason to always plan ahead, because if you are logging your food, as long as you put it in before you eat it, I mean, that helps to see where you're at for the day, and you can always adapt and change there too. But that just depends if you're wanting to really hone in on specific goals by logging your food, or just go with the balanced player out too. So I do like that idea. I had that idea, and I do recommend using MyFitnessPal at some point, or at least logging your food at some point if you have some specific goals. So it is a good tool to use, whether you have specific goals or at least every once in a while, to kind of dial things in and learn a little bit more about what you're eating.
And it's not just that, it reminds me that I do have options other than searching in the pantry or going for fast food. I remember, oh, I have this in my bag, or hey, I brought this, or I prepared this. It reminds me that I've got stuff prepared, so I don't go looking for something else.
Right. Yep, that makes sense. So really with the fast food thing, the best thing there, I mean, I threw some recommendations in there, but the best thing you can do is try to pick a place that has different options to customize, like a Chinese place or Subway, Chipotle, Qdoba, things like that, where you can customize and pick and choose what you eat. That way it's not preset. So that way you can, I mean, if you're low on protein for the day, you can always go like double chicken at Chipotle, something like that. It gives you more options. If you have to hit up your typical like McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, or whatever, you can always try to go with grilled chicken and go the grilled chicken route, just to keep something healthier in your hands versus trying to do a burger and then feeling like shit for the rest of the shift. So just some small tips there. The gas station snacks are a great idea too. I mean, if you have to run into a gas station, you can't even get to a drive-through. Some snacks like beef jerky, string cheese. I know around Oklahoma and Texas, you've got Quick Trip. In some areas, they usually have some pretty good snacks like hummus. Those protein packs that are like the nuts and cheese and fruit are really good too. They'll have like apple cheese cubes and almonds. I'll grab those if anything else. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers it for the fast food guide. What else? The main thing is just planning ahead, obviously, and trying to remember to prioritize your protein at the end of the day. If you can do one of those two or both, you'll be ahead as far as trying to grab what you need if you're out on shift and needing to grab food. So, any questions there? Everyone's still with me. I'm hopefully not boring y'all. Is this helpful? Hopefully. Throw a thumbs up or something in the chat if this is like helpful. You guys are learning stuff. We got one yes. One, I'm still here. I know some of you guys have other stuff going on. You're listening in the background. Okay. Cool. Perfect. All right. Just make sure y'all still with me. This is you're learning something, getting something out of this. So that's pretty much what I wanted to cover. The only other things I wanted to explain, or at least give you a little bit more background on. Get one more person come in. Is kind of a method to the madness on like bigger projection of where we're going with the challenge. So I mentioned the brick by brick thing. So my method behind this is we're in week 1. We're doing the very basic foundational stuff, which is improving your overall food choices, looking at how you're building out your meal composition for each meals. And you're also working towards those step habits, those workout habits, things like that. So that's why those are like the 1-point challenges, because those are the small daily habits, your steps, your meals that will add up into something big over time. So those are like the brick by brick small habits that make big dividends in the end, but it's also the foundational habits that at the end of the day, if you have to pull back and those are like the bare minimum you can go to, that's fine. You're still doing good. So your good food choices, your meal composition, your steps, like Laura mentioned, the accountability part of it's huge, right? Having other people that are cheering you on, that are supporting you, that are having fun with you, or just knowing like, hey, like I want to look good for this person or for this other reason, whether it's your personal goals or, I mean, whatever your driving force is, whatever your why is, that accountability helps. So that's why those are the 1-pointers, and the selfies are the 2-pointers, because there's a little bit more accountability in posting a selfie in there. And then the workouts are the 5 points, because that takes a little bit more time and effort. There's more time management in that, making sure that you're making time to get your workout in. So that's laying the foundation and the small daily habits that are going to help you long term. Next week, we're working more in towards dialing in those meal choices and that meal composition into specific meal prep for shift work, which is just a small tweak of trying to figure out how to make your meal prep and how to make it fit for shift work, and tweaking how we need to there based on specific challenges. So if you have any questions or specific challenges that come to mind with your shift work of, I don't know, different scenarios of maybe you can't get to your food, or it just depends person to person. If you have something you're having a challenge with, let me know, and I can talk and speak to that. And then next week we're looking, I'm going to throw, instead of one workout, I'm throwing 2 workouts at you next week. So again, that comes in with more time management, more being intentional with prepping for shift work, and also prepping for your workouts and making sure you have time for those. So Jenny says, avoiding group meals. Yes, that is a big thing that comes up. A lot of police, fire, EMS, they have their shift meals, especially fire and EMS people, maybe less so on the police side. A great thing you can do with that, Jenny, is if you have your meals with you, typically people don't mind if you bring your own food with you to sit and eat with them. I know sometimes everybody goes out to eat, and obviously that's fine. If you guys go out to a restaurant together as a shift, that's cool too. What I used to do at the police department I was with is we would typically just say, hey, let's meet at the PD, and we would all bring our food in, whether somebody had already packed it or they would go out to eat. That way we had our own food with us, whether we brought it from home or went and bought it, and we all were able to eat together still. So taking that idea, I think you can make that fit hopefully to your scenario as far as maybe less of eating out all the time with the guys, more of eating what you cooked and prepped. I'm excited for the workouts. It's hard to get to the time to eat. It's more like eat when you can. Yeah, there's going to be some of that. And that's where having some great snacks with you will help, maybe that are more grab and go, or maybe you need more smaller meals. You have to plan for more smaller meals while you're on shift versus when you're not. Things like that. So obviously if you can sit down and eat 5-10 minutes, maybe heat up your food, great. If not, maybe then you'll have to shift towards more snacky type food or stuff you can eat on the go, like a tuna salad wrap or some veggies, or like veggies and veggie dip, things that you can eat while you're sitting, working, doing multiple things. So just a couple quick tips there. All right. Other things to be mindful of are sleep and self-care. A good idea is to try to make sure you're getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. And then also practicing some self-care weekly, daily, hopefully if you can, whether that's journaling, going for a walk, maybe a long bath, some self-care like pedicure, manicure, something like that. Make sure that you are working that into your week as well, because those are two big things for recovery and overall mental health. So just wanted to throw that bug in your ear too, that's a very important thing to also be on your radar. Kimberly says, it helped me a bunch when I acted like I was going to eat the way I wanted to. My mindset mattered. Okay, so I see what you're saying. So setting that intentionality before it happened, that's kind of like showing up now as the person you want to be type of thing, which is a great mindset to have too. I like that a lot. Thank you, Kimberly. All right. Okay, cool. Desiree, was that helpful then? Hopefully. Just different ways to look at it, just different ideas sometimes. So that's all I have for y'all tonight. Always remember, you can't lose if you keep showing up. So you might have a rough day, rough week, but as long as you keep coming back, you keep committing to yourself and your goals, you'll get there. It just takes the patience sometimes, but it's almost never linear. We don't live in a bubble. You just got to keep showing up for yourself. So any more questions in the chat, or if y'all want to come off mute and ask anything specific about specific foods or meal prep or anything like that, or about the challenge in general.
Monica, can you hear me?
Yes.
I think it was Desiree. I don't know if she was talking about the mindset mattering or all the plethora of information but one thing just to remind, and it's the same with the physical side of this challenge, the actions are the easy part. The movement is the easy part. Buying the food, creating the food, that's the easy part. We need to work on the mindset of it. I mean, even like the workout that you gave us to do, it's not physically hard to do it. You know, it's challenging, but it's not physically hard to do it. You have to get in the right mindset to do that. And when I was in patrol, you know, there were many months where I acted like I was a victim. I wasn't going to be able to eat. You know, we were back in, you know, the rougher side of Dallas, you know, 18, 20 calls a night, a car chase, some people dead. I mean, who has time to eat? Well, there is time to eat. Whether it's carrots in the car, boiled eggs in the car, you know, stuff like that. And I just had to get my mind ready for it. I had to stop being, you know, a victim, basically. I had to act like I mattered and, you know, no one was going to do it for me. So if I could take all the information that you're giving me and actually get it through my head, then it's going to show up.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. Love it. I think you're right. I think Kristen put something in the chat about the same thing of making excuses and just never stepping up and making it happen and taking control of what you can control, because at the end of the day, it is within your control. But you get to see how you deal with that, whether you allow it to continue to be a problem or you step up and you do something about it. So it's tough to own up to that, and owning up to it is step one, right? All right, cool. Love it. Thank you for sharing that, Kimberly. Ashley says, I get food aversion sometimes and pushing through that is hard. What do you mean? What are you getting food aversion from? Just from eating the same thing too much? see if she types back real quick. Or you can come off of mute. Where like food in general gets on advertising. Okay. Ashley, I would challenge you to figure out if that's just like a specific food of like if you're eating a ton of chicken and then you don't want any more chicken, or if it's food in general. You can message me about it if you want directly and we can chat about it since you're at a baseball game. But my best suggestion for that would just be in trying to keep a variety high for you. That way you're not getting too burnt out on what you're eating. Or if it's a problem where you are just not hungry, I would think that would be something else to look into as far as where your overall intake is, and maybe if we need to try to bump you a little bit to get back to something higher. Because some people struggle to start increasing their calorie intake when they're so used to eating so little. So that could be part of it too. Just in my experience with the clients and people I've dealt with. So there might be a couple reasons there, but shoot me a message on Facebook Messenger and we can walk through it a little bit better that way. So, all right, cool. Any other questions, concerns? Hopefully no gripes or complaints. All right. Cool. Well, everyone's doing awesome. Like I said, I'm pumped. This has been a lot of fun so far, and it's only day 3. So I'm super pumped for the rest of this challenge for you guys. Thank you for being awesome and participating. It's been awesome to see everything that's going on in the group with all the posts and stuff. So definitely let me know how I can help you and support you in this journey. Shoot me a message if you need anything specific. And otherwise, keep it up. I'll let you know if we have any updates either in the Facebook group or I'll shoot y'all an email. So have a great night, and I'll see you all next week. You're welcome. Bye, y'all.